In this video, we're going to be looking at single recessive epistasis in poodles and their hair color. In genetics, traits are passed from generation to generation by what we call alleles. In this case, we have two pairs of alleles influencing the trait for hair color in poodles. We have the A and B alleles, where big A is dominant to little a and big B is dominant to little b. The big A allele produces an enzyme that causes brown hair in poodles. The big B allele produces an enzyme that causes black hair in poodles. So both recessive alleles, that's little a and little b, don't make any enzymes. So without a big A allele, you won't make the enzyme that makes hair brown. And without the big B allele, you won't have the enzyme that makes the hair black. Epistasis occurs when one pair of alleles are influencing the other pair. So in this case, we would say that the A alleles are epistatic to or influencing the B alleles. When epistasis occurs, there's a pathway that explains how the expression of these genes are being influenced. So now let's take a look at that pathway. So in this pathway of gene expression, it always starts with white hair. If you have a big A allele, then you'll produce the brown hair enzyme and continue to the next step of the pathway, which is brown hair. If you make it to this middle step and also have a big B allele, you will then produce the black hair enzyme and go on to the last step, resulting in poodle black hair. So let's talk about if you don't have a big A allele. So let's start at the beginning of our pathway. We always start with a poodle with white hair. If we don't have a dominant A allele, then we will not produce any brown hair enzyme, which means that we can't get to the middle step of brown hair. And if we can't get to the middle step, then we can never get to the last step of black hair. So no matter if you have a dominant B allele or a recessive B allele, it won't matter because you're going to stay white if you have two recessive A alleles. So if you do have a dominant big A allele, and you do produce the brown hair enzyme, but you don't have any dominant B alleles, so you just have two little b's, then you won't produce the black hair enzyme, only the brown hair enzyme, which leaves you at a brown poodle. So this pathway tells us why single recessive epistasis occurs, but let's take a closer look on how we know that it occurs. So we're going to be looking at this heterozygous cross. So they both have a big A little a and a big B little b. And their offspring are 56.25% black, 18.75% brown, and 25% white. You can see in the upper right corner that we have all the different genotypes that are in this offspring, but we only have 3 phenotypes, meaning that there's only 3 visual differences, even though there's 4 genetic differences. So that means these 2 different genotypes boxed in blue, those result in the same phenotype. So if you were to cross a black and white poodle of these genotypes, you get about 50-50 for phenotypes, and this is because half the offspring gets a little a from its black-haired parent, and the other half gets a big A allele from its black-haired parent. This one allele will determine what phenotype it's going to become. So I did this video on poodles because we have a lot at home. This is Caliber, this is Karma and Caroline, this is Punk, and this is Louie and Caliber. And here are my sources.